So we are now recording. All right. So this month is was a little bit confusing. Hi, Debbie. Debbie finally was able to join us.
Finally.
I'm excited.
Hey, Debbie.
Hi.
Hey, everybody.
And just to let you know, we're recording this. I know I don't ever have to worry about you. You won't say anything bad, but we're recording this for Robin. So
Okay.
Not this Robin, the other Robin.
The other
Okay.
Robin. We have two
The
Robins.
other Robin.
Okay. And so this month was a little bit confusing because we're offering alternative methods for you guys to use during the class. And so Dorothy is an authorized Tucker instructor, Deb Tucker instructor, and she uses the Deb Tucker rules. And I'll tell you, I really like the Deb Tucker rules too. Okay. If you have them, or if you want to get them, let me know and we can order them. But you don't have to do it. You can just do it the old-fashioned way. The other way we're doing it is using the AccuQuilt. I'm giving out the die numbers and the instructions. I think that this month, one thing that I didn't notice is every month when you read your pattern, it tells you what you're supposed to get as the shop kit. And these are quarter yards and fat eighths and all of this kind of stuff. And so they've based the cutting off of that, having that fabric that you have, a quarter yard of this or an eighth of yard of this, rather than the whole piece. So when they said cut a strip, I didn't know it until like a week ago that they meant cut a strip of a fat quarter, which means an 18-inch by 1.5 inch. So when they told you to cut 4 strips, all right, then that was 4 18-inch pieces, which would have been 2 strips. And if you use 2 strips, that was the exact right amount. So I've corrected that now, and I'm calculating out what you can get out of a 44-inch strip, 42 or 44 inch. Okay. So for example, I just calculated out all next month's, and I'm going through and I'm checking them now. And there is one place where if you can cut your fabric at 44 inches, you will make exactly the number of cuts that you need. If your fabric goes to 42 inches, you need to cut an extra strip. And so I will tell you that when I tell you the AccuQuilt instructions. So kind of pay attention to that. But if you're cutting it off of the pattern itself, which everybody can do exactly that as well, then you want to make sure you're looking at what cut of fabric you were supposed to be provided. And that's shown right under, oh, I wish I had it right under the lesson learned for next month. I will have the instructions up. Just like the first paragraph under the title of the month, it lists out what you're supposed to have, a fat quarter of this, or if fabric. Do you see on the instructions where that is?
Yeah.
Okay. So then when it's talking that, pay attention, because if you're cutting it as if it were only a fat quarter or a fat eighth or whatever. So when it says cut 4 strips, you might only need to cut 1 strip if you're cutting at a 44-inch length. Everybody got that?
Got it. I got it.
Okay.
I guess everybody's busy.
Yeah, everybody's kind of.
I'm pressing. I don't have to think.
Oh, trust me.
Tammy, this is Linda. I have
what you guys are doing because you know it's always out of control.
Tammy.
Yes.
So FQ is fat quarter. What's
yes.
FE and FS for me? What does that mean?
Fat eighth and fat. What was the last one?
S.
S as in Sierra.
Yes.
16th.
Fat 16th.
Oh, that's tight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me look real quick.
Tammy, it doesn't matter. I'm just using the fabric that I purchased, but since you were on that, I thought I'd ask. Not to worry, really, don't worry.
It is a fat 16th.
So it's 1/8 of a yard and a half.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Robin, with your math. Goodness gracious.
Well, at least we have somebody in the group that can do math.
Woo.
That's why I haven't set out next month's AccuQuilt instructions yet, because I have to like double, triple check my math.
1/8 of a yard in here. Wow. Okay.
All right, so now we got over everything. So now what we're gonna do is actually start making it. And this is what your bear paw blocks are gonna look like when you're done with them. Okay? Bear paw blocks are a very traditional block. It's so, you know, learning to make them is a good quilting experience. All right. So that's what it's going to look like when you finish it. I've got one here that I'm going to make. And what I will do is I will walk all the way through it and make out this block and show you how to do it. And then you're free to go sew for the next 2 hours. Okay. So to start, you need all of these little half square triangles here. These are all half square triangles. And so that's why you had to cut out so many little squares. But Dorothy provided the method for doing it where you get 8 half square triangles out of 1 square of fabric. All right, so that's the method I'm going to show you, because this is something that you can apply to any half square triangle, and it is super cool. All right, I love it. When I did it this time, I said I will never do half square triangles any other way. So she told you in the Tucker instructions that if you were going to do this, you were going to cut 5.5-inch square. Okay, so I have got a 5.5-inch square here. And what you do with that is you can do it with a plain ruler where you draw a line from corner to corner and then you sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that line. Or I've got this handy dandy little tool here, which is also a Deb Tucker thing, that allows me to line up the center line in here. And you guys will not be able to see that center line, but there's a center line marking on this little ruler. And you put the center line marking at the corner, and at the corner, you hold it down and you draw your line on each side, because that marks it exactly a 1/4 inch from center. Okay.
What size finished squares does that give you? Half square triangles, I mean.
It's going to give me my 2 1/4 inch triangles when I trim them down. Okay, so now I've got a line going down each side. You guys see that? It's hard to see my purple ink on my purple square. That wasn't very smart. All right. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other diagonal. I'm going to line up my ruler from point to point, and I'm going to draw a line. Okay, so now I've got my 2 sets of diagonal lines. You probably can't see that, but and so those are the lines I'm going to sew to. So I'm going to put my fabrics right side together. Okay. I'm going to line them up real good. I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew on those lines that I just drew. Forget, I can't go very fast on this table because it shakes so bad. So it takes me a minute to sew it here.
So I've got to interrupt for just a second.
Sure.
Dorothy, so we did corner to corner this way, and then did we do corner to corner this way as well?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You mark both the diagonals. Okay.
And they come out so pretty.
Oh, they do. They come out
See,
just.
look, there's one.
Huh?
See, there's my one.
Yep.
Very pretty.
Yeah, they come out as these really And by the way, I'm using a scrap piece of fabric because I had to do all my half square triangles earlier so that I could have the blocks made for class. So you will see that I will use scraps a lot of times to show you guys how to do things if I've already sewn the block.
This is Linda, not to confuse the process, Tammy, that you're working, but I'm letting Dorothy know that I sent her a chat message that she may explain to us all later. And it has to do with the Deb Tucker method.
Okay. So what you're gonna get out of this 5.5-inch square is you're gonna get triangles that are a little bit bigger than a 2.25-inch square so that you can trim them up. But what this does do is it allows you to make some little errors, okay? And so it allows you to get a much more precise cut. And so this is what you should end up with, is a block that looks like this, okay? So those are my stitches on my lines, okay? And they're not really crooked, it's just the camera distortion. And that's my story.
Can you hold it up to the camera, Tammy? Because I can't see your table at all.
You can't see my table?
No, move it to the left, Tammy,
Left?
or move it to your right then. A little more.
Yep.
Okay, we can see it now, but you can't see what you've done, but we can see it.
Wow.
Maybe they're not seeing your phone, your iPhone. Are you looking at Tammy standing beside the,
Are you looking at me or are you looking at where my hand is right now?
We see
I'm
the
looking
purple
at
fabric in your hand.
But I see your body. I can't see what you're pointing to on the table.
I don't think they're seeing your iPhone, Tammy,
Yeah, but
because I can see it perfectly.
you
I
see, are you looking at the screen that says Tammy Johnson's iPhone?
No.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
have, do you have the grid option set up so you can see all of us at once, or just the speaker?
I only have one Tammy Johnson on my screen.
You should
Oh,
have,
now I see Tammy Johnson's iPhone.
Oh, I
Okay.
see it now. I see it now.
Oh,
You go to like pick everybody.
you
Yeah.
need,
Okay, sorry. I talked about that a little bit before all you guys were online, so.
So we need to tell Dawn what to do. Dawn, go into gallery view. And then
Where,
you'll set that
where is
aside.
that?
You gotta find out what computer she's on, what kind of computer she's on.
I'm on a laptop.
Is it a Windows?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody that's got Windows, tell her what to do. I've got Mac, so. Who's got Windows?
It looks like a 9-patch kind of thing up at the top right-hand corner.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah,
then
gallery
you see
view. I
everybody.
found it. Now I can see everybody.
Everybody, yep.
Hi, Robin.
Hello.
Dorothy, did you get my message?
where did you send it, Linda?
To the chat box.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
On Zoom?
On
yes.
where's that?
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Okay. I gotta quit telling you. Okay, so now I've got my purple square, now that everybody can see my purple square. Okay. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this block. And so I went over and I got my my little thing that I can turn more easily. Because this is where if you have one of those rotating mats, it really works well to do that.
Yes, it does.
Because I'm going to cut it on the diagonal. The straight up and down, okay?
Tammy?
Yeah.
Tammy,
What?
the instructions say to cut it on the crosswise and straight up and down and then the diagonal. Don't know if that makes a difference.
Oh, cut it the four.
Because
Okay.
it says to mark the the midline on all sides and then mark the line across. You can do those markings when you do the other markings with the magic wand.
This-
Across. And then I'm gonna turn it,
this one isn't right.
and I'm gonna cut it straight up and down. And it's kind of cool because you got this square on here too that you can line it up on very easily.
You should have gotten an extra PDF file when she sent out the instructions that has all these instructions written out. So that will help you.
Put it on the diagonal. Right straight down the center. Oops, oh no, sorry, I cut wrong. I'm not gonna-
Dorothy, are you pressing open or to the side?
Are you talking about what we're doing right
I'm not doing half-square triangles, so
If we're not talking about what I'm doing right now, hold it until later, please.
Okay,
Thank you. I don't want people to get confused,
okay.
okay? Because it's very easy to get confused. And then I'm gonna cut it on this other diagonal.
There we go, I think.
Okay. And so then I have all my, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 half square triangles. Check that out. Okay. And so now you would take that half square triangle. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing. It's hard to know where my camera is here. Okay, so now I got 8 of these little half square triangle blocks off of just those 2 lines of sewing. Much easier way to make all your half square triangles than cutting each one of them and making it. Did everybody kind of get what I did there?
Think so.
Okay. And then you want to press them. Okay,
And what is the finished size of the half squares?
it's 2 1/4 inch. Okay, so then I'm
Two and
gonna
a
press it.
quarter.
All right, so I'm gonna press it, and then I'm gonna take my ruler. All right, and it doesn't matter if you have the Deb Tucker ruler or not. Okay, you don't have to have the Deb Tucker ruler. Then I lay my diagonal line of my ruler. Can you guys see the diagonal line of my ruler? Get over here. Okay, I've got a diagonal line down my ruler. I'm gonna place that diagonal line on my square. You guys see that? I don't think I can get any closer. Okay. And I'm going to line it up. My important measurement is on that diagonal line. Okay. Then I'm going to make sure it's at least covering the 2 1/4 inch mark on each side, which it is way over covering. Okay. And then I'm going to trim it on those 2 sides. Okay. So now I know these 2 sides are good. I'm going to flip it all the way around. And again, I'm worried about my diagonal mark more than anything else. Is lining it up on the diagonal mark and then lining it up on the 2 1/2 inch mark. We're going to come down. Okay. And again,
2 1/4 mark.
2 1/4 mark. Yes.
So Tammy, may I ask, why is it so important to do it on the diagonal? Why can't you just square it up?
Because if you square it up, your diagonal may not be on a true diagonal. Okay, your diagonal may end up a 1/4 inch off or so. Your diagonal line is a line that's really going to be noticeable on that quilt. Okay, and so when you go and you're making your little bear paw block, if that's not right on the diagonal, you're going to lose your points.
Oh,
Okay, and so that's why it's really important to line it up on that diagonal to make sure that that diagonal goes exactly corner to corner
oh,
on each. Okay,
okay.
so that's how you get the accuracy, and then being able to cut it a little bit bigger, because if you look over here, I've got maybe 1/8 of an inch that I'm going to be able to trim off this block here to make it the right size. So that gives me an 1/8 of an inch that I can make a mistake on, that I got that line exactly diagonal or not, okay? And that's why it's so critical when you do half square triangles and stuff, do them a little bit bigger than what's called for so that you can trim it down to the right size. Okay, you can make a 3.5 inch half square triangle and cut it down to a 2 inch half square triangle, because that diagonal line is what's going to be cut. As long as you line up on that diagonal line, you're going to be right, no matter whether it's 1 inch or 6 inches.
So when you're using that ruler for the diagonal line,
Right.
you're not worried about your board at all. You're just using that ruler.
Yeah, you see the diagonal line on that ruler right
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'm not doing anything. I'm not looking at any marking on the board. That could be a blank sheet of paper. The only thing
Really?
I'm looking at is this ruler right here. Okay. And I'm going to line up this diagonal. Let me find where my finger is here. This diagonal here. And then I'm going to line it up on my 2¼ inch mark here and my 2¼ inch mark over here. And
So it actually could look cattywonk, but it really is squaring it up.
Oh, no, it's square. Yeah, it could look cattywampus as all get out before you trim it.
Oh my goodness.
So
Okay.
when you trim it, it will straighten it up and it'll get those diagonals right, which then allows you to have your points right. Okay. It makes a huge difference. And that, correct me if I'm wrong, Dorothy. Dorothy had to leave again. She always has to leave when I need her. That is the philosophy of Deb Tucker rulers. Okay, is you make them a little bit bigger than necessary, and then you trim them down to get that exact alignment and exact measurement. Okay.
Is this whole quilt made of bear claws? I haven't really looked at, I just looked at the.
No, there's these 4, and then there's like 4 more. There's like maybe 16 more. Is that what it is? I don't remember what's on the other.
But that's okay. So it really is about bear claws. So if my first batch are wrong, the next ones will be right. That's all I could say.
Exactly. But that's why I'm asking that don't stitch your blocks, okay? Wait until class to start stitching your blocks. If you work ahead of me, I'm not going to be able to catch some of these mistakes before you make them.
I get it. I see why that diagonal is so important. I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know.
So, Tammy, can I show the Deb Tucker ruler?
Absolutely.
Okay, so getting up to the point where she was cutting, she cut the thing into 8 little half square triangles, and she used a Creative Grids ruler. The Deb Tucker ruler is similar, a little bit different. So it has, I'm sorry, this is going to show up backwards, but see the diagonal here? And I'm looking at, this is the Tucker Trimmer 2, which has 1/4 inch increments, which a couple of you just bought. Robin and Dee just bought this one. So at the end of this quadrant, it shows if your block is a 3/4 inch measurement, or if it's a 1/4 inch increment. So we're using 2 1/4 increments. So we're going to use the diagonal from here. So I take the half square triangle and I put it down. I've already trimmed this, obviously. But you put it down on that diagonal and you trim 2 sides of it just like Tammy did. And then you rotate it and then trim the other side. So that's very similar, except this has, see the dotted lines there that show you the outline for the finished?
Yeah. Hers has, her rulers have much more simplified markings on them than the ruler that I use.
Yes, it's just easier to read for what you're doing. Her ruler gave you just the same, but this is more specifically for this thing, as you can see the lines.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put in that information.
Does everybody understand now about how to get your half square triangles? Okay. So now that you have your half square triangles, you're gonna put your blocks together, okay? And so this is the other tricky part of the bear claw. All right, is you need to make sure you've got your pieces lined up correctly. And let me make sure, try to get to my edge of, okay. So you've got four half square triangles on each bear paw block. The top ones have the diagonal going this way, okay? And there's a little diagram in this month's instructions that show you exactly how those triangles. And the other one is set the same way, okay? So the dark side is to the left, the light side is to the right. And then you have a square of your background fabric. And then you have your center square. And then you have these two, and these two go to where your light is on the bottom and your dark is on your light is to the left, your dark is to the right. All right. And that is how you're going to get your bear paw block. So they're not hard to make at all. Then you just simply sew these two squares together. Okay. All right. My other trick. Does everybody know where their 1/4 inch seam allowance is at on their machine with their foot? If you don't, this is a cool little tool. I've got several different varieties of it because this allows you to put your needle in this little tiny hole right here. I'll do Dorothy's trick of putting that doesn't work with this one. Okay, you put the needle through here, and depending on which corner you're looking at is different seam allowances. And so you can know exactly where your 1/4 inch seam allowance is. And you want to then move, they say the scant 1/4 inch. And what is a scant 1/4 inch? 3 threads shy of a 1/4 inch. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like way too old to see threads of fabric. Okay. And so just move it in a little bit. All right. It's not a lot, but it really does make a difference. And that's to account for the thickness of the thread when you make that seam. So then when you press it, you're actually getting a real 1/4 inch seam there. Okay. I happen to know my foot. I know exactly where my 1/4 inch it lines on my foot. And it's a scant 1/4 inch. And that's the same I use throughout my whole quilt. I can't tell you how important that is in getting your points to match, etc. I'm going to show you some other tricks on points and everything later, but get that scant 1/4 inch seam going correctly. Okay. So now I talked and I forgot where I was sewing. Okay.
I have a question about the Deb Tucker ruler. Dee and Robin, where did you order yours from? The ruler 2?
From
I
me.
ordered mine from Dorothy.
But you can also get them from Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy.
They sell them on Brewers now. They just started selling everything on Brewers.
Yeah.
So get it from Tammy.
Okay, thank you.
So just to be clear, you understood the difference in the rulers, Linda. There are 3 Tucker trimmers. One is for half square triangles that have a 1/2 inch increment. That's called the Tucker trimmer, and that's your typical measurement you're using is either a whole or a 1/2 inch. And then the second one is called the Tucker trimmer 2, and that's the 1/4 inch increment, which that's what I just showed you because we're doing 2 1/4 inch here. So it lets you measure 2 1/4 and 2 3/4 inch, but it has many sizes.
So the Tucker trimmer 2 is what we need at least for this project.
For this project, yes.
And the other Tucker trimmer, you said it measures what size?
It measures a whole inch size and a 1.5 inch size.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
You can actually, with either of the rulers, you can make a size from 1 inch to 6 inches in the 1/2 inch and yeah, there you go.
Okay,
So
One.
that's
Okay.
the Tucker Trimmer 1. And then there's a Tucker Trimmer 3, which goes up to a 13 inch that you could use for squaring your blocks. Like a 12.
oh, great.
Those
Up
are
to a
12.5 inches.
Yeah, it's got that same diagonal and the helpful block measurements on it.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I sewed and I pressed my 2 diagonal square blocks together here. This is going to show you exactly why that line needs to be center to center. All right, on the diagonal is because when you sew these together now, you have your perfect little 1/4 inch seam allowance here without chopping that point off. Okay, so that's why it's necessary to get that diagonal accurately, because if it's not accurately and it doesn't go from the top to the bottom across the diagonal exactly, then that 1/4 inch is not going to be there for you to be able to sew your next block together. Okay, so I get those 2 sewn together. Now I'm just going to flip that guy over and sew him. Okay, and I'm going to flip this guy over and sew him. Okay, so now we're getting to points. Ooh. All right, so when I stitch this line here, all right, I've got a 1/4 inch here where the seam comes together here and the seam comes together here. There is a point. You do not want to cut that point off. Okay, now there's a technique for making sure that you don't cut that point off. And that is that you place a pin straight through your fabric right there. Okay, and you flip it over and you hold this pin there. I'm going to do it this way. Do it this way. Sorry, I have to move it to better light so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've come up right through that point right there, and I want my pin to stay straight up. Am I on the camera? Yeah. Okay, my pin is straight up. All right, if you look at it this way, it's exactly straight out. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to pin on each side of this, very close to where it's at. So I'm going to pin right here. Okay, and I'm going to pin right here. So now when I stitch, I'm not going to move where that point is. I'm just going to stitch up to here, pull that pin, and then stitch here, pull that pin, and I will not cut off my point. Okay? Famous last words. You see now I have a point. You can see, oops. See, and I haven't cut my point off, okay? So that method works really,
Perfect
really well. Yes. It's actually, I could have gone a little less even, but I wanted to make sure I didn't cut that point off because I would be really embarrassed. Okay, so now I gotta sew this piece. And you will always notice that I have points in my quilt that don't match. And it's like, well, sometimes that's just the way it's gonna be.
That's what makes it homemade.
It does. That's what gives it its personality and what marks it as something that's not made in a factory.
And I'm the homemade queen, so it's all good.
Me too. Exactly.
You make people happy if you leave an error in it, because if people are looking for an error, they'll find it, and therefore they'll be happy.
Exactly. They'll be so happy with my quilts.
Yep. It's like dust. If people are looking for dust in my house, they're probably going to be really happy. I leave it for them.
You leave it for them just to find it.
Right. I mean, if they're looking for dust, it would only make them happy to find some.
So now I have this piece and I have this piece. And so the only place that I'm really worried about now is I'm worried about, let me see if I'm worried about this little point right here. I don't want to cut that point off, so I'm going to pin it there. And I want to make sure that I nest these seams very, very good right here so that that matches up. Okay. So it's not a lot of points here. It's not a lot of concern. So I'm just going to line this up, poke my pin through it. Wouldn't you know, I pressed my seam the wrong way on that one. Really get a good point. This is the hardest part, is actually going from the back side to get it through that point. Okay, got it. And again, I'm going to hold my pin straight up and down, and I'm going to pin on each side of that point.
Where are you putting the pin, Tammy?
Let me see. Everything's backwards with moving the camera, so it's like looking in a mirror. I'm putting the pin just to the right and just to the left of where my straight up and down pin is.
Okay.
Okay, because then I know that it's not going to shift on me. So that's the whole point. See, I've got it to the, can you get it right up close here? All right. So now I've got it to the left and to the right. And so as I'm sewing up in here and everything, I'm not going to shift where that point is. Not so critical when I'm here because I can always see where that point is. Very, very critical when you have a point over here as well. Okay? Because then you're going to want to mark it so that you know exactly where that point is, and it's going through exactly the other point as well, so that you don't cut off the point on the other side. So that's why I want to get you in the habit of pinning your points. Because I used to just be this happy little sewer that I said, oh, I'm just going to sew this along and blah, blah, blah. And none of my points ever came out, okay? And then I did a quilt where I had points come out, and I was like, oh, that looks really good. And so I said, all right, I will pin my points from now on. So. And then you guys all know how to nest seams, right? Nesting seams is not new to anybody, is it?
Well, I've nested seams, but they don't all, it doesn't always work.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't.
Well, the best nest that you get, all right, is if your top side is facing towards the sewing machine. So if I was to stitch this, come on, Tammy, where are you? Right there. Okay. If I stitch this way, you see how my fabric's towards where I'm stitching to. So it's towards the sewing machine as I go up. That's going to push that seam into this seam down here. And you will get the best nesting that way. Everybody kind of see that? Is if the top.
I don't
You need
think
to-
that was clear.
It's not, because you need to raise it up higher to the camera.
Okay. So if I am stitching this 1/4 inch seam along here, I'm not.
There you go.
Okay. If I'm stitching this 1/4 inch seam along here, I want my fabric to go towards the machine. So when I fold this, when I nest this seam, let me get another one.
Doesn't make any sense.
Have anything to nest a seam on. Okay. I want my top fabric that's going on the top of the machine. I want that to be folded towards the machine, and the bottom fabric folded away from the machine.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. Because as you're sewing along, it's going to push this top piece right into that bottom piece. Okay. And it really is going to give you this exact match. Okay. Now I did it completely back.
Is that the same as saying the seam allowance on the top is away from me and the seam allowance on the bottom is toward me?
Yes, that's the same exact thing. Okay.
Yes, okay, yes, that makes sense. Yes, absolutely.
So seam allowance on top away, seam allowance on bottom.
Towards.
If you think about the seam allowance on the bottom, if it's going the correct way, it's not going to get flipped while you stitch
It
it.
flipped, exactly.
So the one on the bottom, you don't want the one on the bottom flipped, but you can make sure, because you can't see it, but the one on the top, you can make sure it doesn't flip because you can see it.
Yeah.
So now I got my bear paw block. Then it was really simple to take my 4 bear paw blocks and to lay them out in the way that they're shown in the quilt. Okay. And so what you want to pay attention on this one is you got 2 bear paw blocks with this fabric and 2 bear paw blocks with this fabric. They go diagonally across from each other. Okay, so you have this one is going to go up here. Where am I on my camera? Yep. Okay, and so its matching block is diagonally down here. All right, and then these 2 hit this way. Oh, I forgot, the center is also different too. So just make sure your blocks are diagonal from each other. The same block is diagonal. All right. Then it becomes nothing more than a 9 patch. Okay. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you sew it together just like a 9 patch. All right. Very easy. Nest your seams and watch your points. Does everybody get that one? Okay. So everybody go off and sew yourself. At least I would like to see at least 1 bear paw block.
Great.
Good luck with that.
We have an hour.
Yeah, you have an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, this took me much longer than I anticipated. I took up too much time.
Okay, I've got a question.
Sure.
Before I cut,
Attend Saturday's class.
before I cut my square, my 5.5, is it supposed to look like that?
Yipper.
And
Got it
so
right.
then I cut this way, left and right, north and south.
Right, left and right, north and south, and then diagonally one way and then diagonally. And that's why a turning board is really.
Is absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm about to do it. I hope I don't waste fabric.
Ooh. You can yell at me if you do.
I will.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions? Otherwise, it's just sewing time. Go have fun. Are you still cutting, Debbie? You're on mute, sweetie.
Okay, there you go. We have a leak upstairs somewhere coming, probably from our bathrooms. We have a plumber up there cutting the drywall out of our family room that we just had painted. And so I know. So anyway, that's why I had to run up and see what was going on and
Oh, yeah.
stuff. So always something,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've got it though.
Okay, we'll just,
I wish I'd used the Deb Tucker thing though. I didn't do that this time, but anyway.
yeah, I'll tell you, that was the slickest way to make half square triangles I've ever tried.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. And I bet you that I can find online a chart that says if you need this size half square triangles, then make this size square and cut it in 8. I will do some research on that and see if I can find it.
So Tammy, this is Linda. Could you put my order in for the Deb Tucker 2 ruler?
You need to send me an email, please.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm terrible about trying to remember things if I don't have it in an email.
Is Dorothy still on there?
She's still someplace. She's on here, but she's not in her room.
Okay. I'm going to ask her what those other 2 Deb Tucker rulers that we need for the rest of this quilt. And
Okay.
could you order those for me as well? Okay,
Yeah.
let me find out what they are.
Send me an email.
What
Dee, could
Yes.
you let me know too?
Pardon me?
Could you let me know what they are as well? And
Absolutely. Robin,
Yeah.
what are you showing us? Robin, you're mute. You've got mute on. So what are you showing us there?
It's the 4-patch square up. I think this was also recommended.
4-patch square up.
So why don't we get a list of all the rulers
this-
needed? That would help.
Dorothy, you're on mute.
Yeah, Dorothy.
Is this why I bought this one for this class?
I'll have to go back and look. I'm sorry. I just got a really disturbing phone call. So
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
one of my high school classmates who's a minister, one of these like bullhorn kind of guys called. He's in tears because his son-in-law, 52, had a heart attack. Died.
Oh.
Whoa.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so your question is for the Tuckerizing that we did for these things, which rulers do you
Yes,
need?
which rulers do we need?
Let me go back and look at it and I'll create a list.
Okay. And then just email us all or text us all or whatever it takes.
Okay.
Thank you.
In the meantime, I'm working on the alternative block that you won't if you do the bear claw, you can use this other block on the other ones if you want.
Thank you.
Or do the bear claw and scraps and wait, but anyway. So are we all off and sewing now?
Yes.
Okay, Tammy,
Uh-huh.
here's my square. Look at me.
Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
Okay, so now which way do I iron my seams?
Iron to the dark side.
To the dark side. Okay. I got 8 of them. Look at me.
I know. Wasn't that cool though? I mean,
It was very cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's just
Sure made it easy.
Do you want me to talk you through using your Tucker trimmer?
Yes, in just a minute. Let me iron it and then I'll get back with you, okay?
Sounds good.
That is like totally wrong. What an idiot. We will never make it through a class without me getting the seam ripper out.
Getting a what?
Without me getting the seam ripper out.
Oh.
I just sewed my block together backwards.
Oh.
It's just a 9-pack. It's very easy.
That's me, that's me, that's what I'm famous for.
So has it stopped snowing at everybody's house?
Yes,
I know. I'm sorry to see it stop. I just think it's so pretty.
me too.
Okay, Tammy, try to pay attention. Much better.
Okay, Dorothy, now what do I do?
Okay, so you got your Tucker trimmer too handy?
I do.
I discovered it, put this on the paper. So look at the corners. There's 2 marked corners.
Uh-huh.
Find the one that has just the 1/4 inch on it
Got it.
and put that so that it's at the upper right side and put it down on top of your triangle like that, and line the diagonal up with the seam line in the middle of the thing.
Okay.
You can see the 2 1/4 inch dotted line.
2 and yes,
Yeah, so just kind of put that in the middle of your unit there.
in the middle of my unit.
Yeah, so you want the common diagonal lined up on the seam line, and
Right.
you want the unit, that is your sewn piece, kind of so that 2 1/4 inch square is centered around it. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut up and across on the right. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed. So
Good.
I put my 2 1/4 right at the bottom part of this square.
No. Put that square kind of centered on your piece. You should have about 1/4 of an inch all around it.
I don't.
You don't?
No,
How much do you, well, how much bigger is it? How much smaller?
it's only about 1/8 of an inch.
Okay, well then don't put that much around there. Just put it, verify that when you get done, you've got room because you're gonna trim it twice, okay?
I'm
So
gonna
put-
trim it how?
Well, that's what I'm gonna show you. So put your diagonal close to the top right of your square with the diagonal matched up with your seam line. And then you're going to trim up and across on just the right side.
But then you're not gonna trim on your, on the side
And
that's under the ruler.
And then you're going to switch it,
Are.
you're going to flip it around. Or if you have a rotating table, this is the time to use it because you can put all of your little squares on your rotating table, put them all in the same direction and cut them all. So basically what you're going to do is cut, you're going to line this up with the diagonal and you're going to cut up and across the top, and then you're going to rotate it and cut up and across the top again. When you rotate it, you're going to set the bottom up so that it matches this dotted line. This is hard to do over Zoom because my
I
pictures.
totally disagree with that entirely. I don't get that at all.
Then
Because
I'm not.
looking at my square, let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about. So looking at my square. Let's see. Can you see my square on the, under the Tucker ruler?
Yeah, move it up a little bit.
This is exactly on the edge of the square.
I can't see your.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
It's hard to do this, you're right.
yeah, it is. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there? Do you see it now?
Oh, down a little bit now. Down a little bit more. Okay, right there.
Okay. See, this is right on the 2/4. This is all I have to cut is that and that. Why do I have to rotate it?
Oh, well, if it's square on the other side, then you don't need to trim. Well, you need to trim your little ear off at least.
Well, yeah, that's, to me, that's all it looks like I have to trim is 2 sides.
That could be.
Is that possible, Dorothy, or?
It
Tammy?
is.
Oh,
It is.
okay.
Yeah, that's all. Some of my blocks, that's all I had to trim too.
That's why you have to look at that whole 2 1/4 inch block to see how much margin you have around the whole thing. That's why I said center it within that block
Uh-huh.
over your fabric. Sometimes, like on this particular one, if I were cutting this one down to 2 1/4, I'd have almost a 1/2 inch to cut off on each all around, but you don't.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure because I'm like, this just looks perfect to me if I just cut off those 2 sides.
It might be,
Okay.
It
And it
might
should be
be.
2 1/4 inch square.
yes. Yes, so you're using the side of the ruler that has the 1/4 inch marks. That's the most important.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. That's, okay.
I'm sorry, I made mine a while ago. I didn't remember how much leeway there was around the edge of it.
Well, on mine, there just wasn't much. Dorothy, do you spray your Tucker rulers with the grippy stuff to keep it from sliding, or do you put dots on it, or?
I tried that spray stuff and I've decided it's not a good idea. So I use, yeah, 180 recommends Invisigrip.
Oh, see, I don't like that stuff. It never stays on my roof.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. That's, yeah, I've redone all of mine with that. I think the trick with that is to cut it, you gotta cut it not even with the edge of the ruler. You have to cut it like a 1/4 of an inch all around, less than the size of your ruler.
Okay, I'll give it a shot because I still have them. I used it twice and just wasn't pleased.
Oh, I love it. I use it on all of mine. I sprayed all of them. Well, that spray, you can't see through the ruler anymore because it clouds it up.
Okay, I started using my Invisible whatever to cover up my thread.
Oh, well, yes, that's a good thing to do with that too.
Because I don't know any of that, share with me those things that tell me what they do later
Okay.
in an email. Thank you. Not now.
Maybe I've been using it wrong. So I pulled it out so I can put it on and you can see what I'm doing. Okay, Dorothy?
Okay. Yeah, I actually have it on the back of the ruler that I was just showing you, the Deb Tucker ruler.
Uh-huh.
You can barely see it on there, but I cut it out so that it's about a 1/4 of an inch smaller all around than the ruler
Okay.
itself.
I will do that in just 1 second.
I tried it once, bringing it out to the edge of the ruler, and that just doesn't work well because it gets caught and then it comes off.
Okay, let's see. That's right on there. Okay, so let's see. 1/4 of an inch shorter. Half an inch then because is
Okay, Tammy, I use the diagonal and that makes a
4
difference, I guess.
6.5 by 6.5.
It does.
6.5 by 6.5. 11.5 by 5.5. I'm gonna have 5. Okay. Let's see if I can get it off of here. Does it matter which side I use?
I don't think so. I don't remember that it does. That's probably, I think you would use the side that was stuck to the paper
Okay, that's what I'm doing.
ruler. Yeah.
So here's a question. I have a point that's going to cut off when I sew it.
So what you want to do is you can cheat a little bit, okay? And that you just sew kind of down to it, and then you take and just kind of gradually go into a narrower seam allowance and then come back out. You don't want to do it too much, but you can do it. Let me see. Let me see what it looks like. So why is that going to cut off?
Isn't that gonna, see right there when I sew, isn't that gonna, when it gets?
No, it works out. It works out right. No, because that one you haven't sewn anything to that one yet. When you sew it, it will come out right.
Okay.
It will. But that looks really good so far.
Okay, let's see how this works.
Dee, mute your phone. We hear your sewing machine.
It's not mine. It's not
It's
me.
blind, okay? And
Oh.
I can't mute because I'm the moderator. Sorry.
It's all good.
If you're talking and you need me to quit sewing, just tell me.
Wrong way.
Okay.
Okay, Dorothy, I take back everything I ever said about the Tucker ruler.
You're liking it, huh?
I am liking it a lot.
Yeah.
Did you put all your little half square triangles on your rotating board?
Yes, absolutely.
Line them all up, cut them all one direction, then rotate the board and cut them all the other way?
Oh, yes, but I've been doing it one at a time because I'm anal.
Oh, no, line them all up on there. You can get about 12 of them on there. Just
Oh, wow. Okay.
trim, 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 and turn it around and trim, 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 trim.
Okay. Well, I'm on my last one, so it's not going to work, but I'm going to try it again next time.
Do it.
I really do like this.
You might want to go back and get the Tucker trimmer that does the 1/2 inch increments. And the big one goes up to 13 inches.
Probably will have to be ordering a big order, Tammy.
Send me an email so I'll know what everybody wants.
They're awesome rulers.
Okay, Debbie, maybe it was that instructor that you had there. You're on mute, Deb.
No way. No, she was awesome. She was so good.
The first one? No,
No, not the first one. No, she was not. She did an excellent job at designing patterns and so forth, but she was not a good teacher.
No.
But Julie, that was the last instructor. She is really good.
That's what I heard about this. Yeah, I heard about that with the last instructor, but the one, that first one just so turned me off on them that I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, she was a terrible teacher.
She was a terrible, she had some beautiful stuff, but she was a terrible teacher.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, Dee, that's why I said you want to come down and sew with us when we go to Dorothy's house.
Well, I am coming next time because I've never been invited before.
Oh, I never am invited either. I just
You're always invited.
Force myself on her.
You're always invited.
Okay.
I just depend on the network to tell everybody.
Yeah. And sometimes we're not good at telling.
I was going to say, I don't think they're always very good because they're a little selfish.
We don't want to share with you, Dorothy.
Okay, so next, now they're all cut and squared up.
Okay.
Now what do I do?
Well, now you got to look at your directions.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah. I don't really see.
That means I gotta read.
And now you're gonna sew them together in groups of 2.
Okay, let me get my Invisigrip put away.
Did that Invisigrip work?
Yes, it did. It worked very
Yeah.
nicely on this one. Yeah.
I find that I really need to go put it on all my rulers because I miss it when I'm using a ruler that doesn't have it.
Well, my favorite ones are the Creative Grid, and they have the little guys on them, and those work
Yeah.
really well. But anything else, I'm going to put it on there, I guess. Okay, now what do I do?
Now you're gonna pay close attention to how you sew the sets of 2 together.
Okay, show and tell.
Ah, that's pretty.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That's pretty. I like that.
Wow,
Yep.
good job.
Well, that's what's gonna be fun is because there's some that are doing different colors and it's
I
just-
know. I can't wait to see what color everybody's doing.
I know Dee's got some really pretty fabrics in hers. So Carolyn, are you in your sewing room?
Yes, this is my sewing room.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
I
Look
know.
at that.
Isn't that pretty?
Oh,
I have lots of plants.
yeah. Wow.
Very pretty. And a lot of windows too.
Yeah, so you can look out and see the falling, gently falling snow. It's like a
Yeah.
snow globe.
Oh, how cool.
Ah, yeah, that's really cool.
Well, thank
Oh,
you.
stuck in the base.
I was admiring everybody's stashes. I don't have my stash here.
Oh,
So, I have windows. You guys have a stash.
no, we just have a whole house full. Okay. Since it's almost 4 o'clock, I was just gonna show you guys real quick that once you get your 4 bear paws sewn together, all right, then you're gonna sew on the outer borders, just like a courthouse steps, which means you're gonna sew on the top and the bottom strips, and then you sew the little pieces onto the side strips, and you sew the side strips on. And that's all this month's is just this center block, and then all the strips sewn around it. Think you guys will get that done by next month's piece of cake, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I have a lot of my points cut off, and I don't know why, so I'm going back to take a further look at them, like especially on the outer edge. It didn't seem to, it worked well here, but it doesn't work up here, and so I don't know.
Look at Robin. Robin's showing off.
I know, Robin is a show off.
Ah,
Look at that. Look at her.
That is so pretty, Robin.
and that is very pretty.
Tucker,
Wow. And look at
Over
she's not gonna have any points cut off.
That is beautiful, Robin.
it's all about
I
that
know.
Tucker. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Robin.
Wow.
Wow.
It is so pretty.
That is just beautiful.
I knew I never liked Robin.
No.
Now I'm convinced.
I have a question. The corner square that's like the G fabric, did you sew that to the top or the side? Do you see what I mean? Like,
Now, where are you talking?
like when you're when you like you put your things here. What did you?
Put them
I
where,
could
Debbie?
I could read my instructions. Can you see? Like if I do it like this?
Yes, you got to make sure that. Yeah, that's one of them.
Okay, and then I have my other one here, like in the top. So which one do I sew the square, the corner square to the top one or to the side?
It doesn't matter. Either
doesn't
whichever way you do it, you're going to sew one side to the 2.5 square, and you're going to sew the other side to the 5-inch square, and then
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's together like a 4-patch, so it doesn't matter
Right.
whether one or the other.
Okay.
Tammy, I just have instructions for month 1.
Yeah, that's all you should have. You don't have the Tuckerize and the AccuQuilt instructions?
Yeah, I have the AccuQuilt in the back, but I was wondering about month 2.
Oh, no, month 2 will come out this next week.
Okay.
Okay. So what I will do is after every class is, like after the Saturday class, then I'll send out the next month instructions. And so you have all that month to figure out how to finish your block 1 stuff and then cut your fabric for your block 2.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
That's kind of how the course will follow. And I will stay on as long as anybody wants to stay on. I'm just wanted to make sure I told you that you weren't done with just your 4 bear paws. You had to finish putting the borders all on it. And that becomes the center block of the quilt.
Okay.
Okay, so next month we will be doing month 2 is kind of sort of log cabin blocks. Now what these are called curved log cabins, okay? Because if you look at this, let me make sure I get this on my camera. At this block, okay?
Mhm.
The strips on this side are 2-inch, and the strips on this side are like 1 1/4 inch.
Okay.
And so what that's going to do when you sew your log cabin block together like that, it creates this really cool effect on the quilt that makes it look curvy. You see this part right
Yep,
here?
sure does.
Where it
Yeah.
curves? That's what this is this is a curvy log cabin block, okay? And so this one's going to be a little tougher to trim up and stuff, but So you just got to pay attention to whether you're trimming on the 1-inch side or the 2-inch side. All right, but it really gives a cool effect. And I've got several patterns for quilts using the Kirby log cabin block, and they're really cool.
Okay, so Dorothy, do you tuckerize that square as well?
No, not
No.
that one. I
Yeah,
think there's a
see
Creative
that?
Grids Kirby log cabin ruler.
Yeah, and I
that's-
bought that one, so I'm going to see if that one works or not. But
Okay,
Yeah, I have that one
I've
too.
got that one too.
okay, yeah.
Did you all see this? Can
Look
you
at
see
that.
it? I
Oh,
just
I love
finished that.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
is that-
wow. Oh, that's cool.
Who did that, Debbie?
I did.
Oh,
Then
it's
you're
so
going to be
pretty.
a pro at this block next month.
Yeah,
That is so pretty.
that's a really cool thing. I don't know if my ruler will work with this though. I don't know for sure about the measurements, but we'll see.
Did you
That's
do that?
cool.
Did you do that with the Kirby log cabin, the Creative Grids?
Yes.
Yeah, I used that one, but it's been a couple of years, so I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, this is the second one that I've done, and it's kind of fun to make it.
Yeah. Okay. And so the other thing that I encourage you guys to do is I'm always going to try to be on at least 15 minutes before the class starts. And that's when we really have a chance that we can share things that
Yeah.
we've made and we can talk and stuff like that. So if you guys want to bring up things that you've made and show them, I love to see what everybody else is doing. That's one of the greatest things about the quilting community is being able to share and inspire and everything else. So
I know. I miss seeing everybody's projects. So
I do too.
that's cool.
gosh, we're so tired of it. And then I forgot, we have Zoom teleconferences every Tuesday and Thursday when I remember to sign on. I've totally forgot today was Tuesday. I knew all along that the bomb class was going to be today, but and I had my mind focused on that, but I didn't think about it being Tuesday, which means we would have an 11 o'clock too. So, yeah.
So
And that's
Debbie, how are you doing in your
Yes, Debbie. How?
retirement? Are you?
Oh, okay. We're still like always doctor's appointments and things like that, but Alan has made a lot of progress. So
Oh, that's good to hear.
Oh, that's great.
he's doing pretty good.
Oh,
Really
that's
good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see everybody. Thanks. I was looking so forward to this. And then I actually came down here like 20 minutes early, and my Zoom, I just couldn't log in. And I use Zoom all the time because I do Zoom meetings for school and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I
Well,
finally
I
got.
apologize for that. Apparently I messed up the password.
But even after you gave me the right password, it still didn't work like the first 2 times I tried. So I don't know what happened. Maybe I typed it in wrong or something.
Well, I don't know though, because I
Eventually I
had
got
problems
it.
signing in, Debbie. So, it's
Yeah.
not you. I had problems signing in today. Maybe there's just Zoom is overloaded today or something.
Maybe.
Could be. Could be.
I've discovered lately that when people send out those Zoom notices, there's the meeting number and the password, but there's also a link. If you click the
Mhm.
link, it takes you directly to it. You don't have to enter anything. So try that.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
That's
I'll
That's
try
true.
that
But
next
that's,
time.
I
Would
have
you
to do
guys
that for
like
my
it if
Bible
I
study.
sent out that link and like Sunday I sent out the note reminding everybody about class, then I just send another set of invite instructions to you so that then you have that link right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also
Yeah,
put
that would be good. We'll try that.
you have an electronic calendar. When she sends out the invitation, it says you can add it to your calendar. The link is on the calendar too, so you can
Oh,
go
I
to.
didn't.
Okay, yeah, I had the link. I just didn't, I already have Zoom, and so I just logged into, went into my Zoom or opened it, but
I actually got
I'll
a
use the link.
I got a reminder from my calendar and I
Yeah.
just clicked the link there.
I
Yes.
did too, but I didn't know to click the link. I just,
Yeah.
always log into
Right, I do too, but try it.
I'll remember that next time.
Oh yeah, that'll be the easier way because I was having a bear of a time trying to log in today. So.
Yeah. All righty.
Okay. Well, thank you guys
Okey-dokey.
very much, and this has been fun. Hope you are.
Yeah, I know.
Great.
Thank
This
you,
has been
Tammy.
fun.
Amy.
I'm almost
Kirby, love you guys.
available by phone and by text. And so if you have problems, and if you want to zoom in on Saturday's class, you can zoom in on
Might
Saturday.
be doing that.
Okay, I know.
You'll have
I
your
know.
finger
I'm just
clicked
looking here like that, what's 2A and what's 2B, trying to figure that out. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so Dorothy, we're waiting for the Tucker rulers.
Yes, ma'am. The
Okay,
Tucker rulers.
okay.
And I'll answer, I saw your question also. I'll answer that.
okay.
If I didn't tell you this before, I have built in a couple extra months. I'm taking the program much slower than what the kit directions say. And so I've built in a couple of months purposely where there's really nothing more than to sew 4 squares together. Okay. I did that on purpose so that you guys always have time to catch up. So don't
I
worry
love
Okay.
that.
behind.
Love that.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
That's great.
You can come over to mom's anytime and I can help you get maybe when it's not snowing so much, but
Yeah.
but come over. Yeah, don't hesitate to ask questions because I don't want you to get frustrated.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
All righty.
Thank you.
Love
guys.
you guys.
All right. Thank
Love you
you.
guys
Love you too,
too.
Dee. Thanks.
Have a good day.
Good
Bye-bye.
seeing you,
Bye-bye.
ladies. Bye, Carolyn.
Oh, nice to see you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ellen. Bye.
Bye, Rob.
Oh my God. An end. Why are you not ending? Oops.